Now, if that is not just awesome. That's why places like Gates of the Arctic National Park are worth protecting. Right there. Here at the lakes at the Upper Alatna, the Upper Alatna drainage. The Alatna is a south-flowing river, and over that hillside there is the Killick River, which is a north-flowing river, and that's where we're going to head here later. I am currently floating on the Killick River in my pack raft and taking a few pictures with the point and shoot along the way. It is a gorgeous evening. It is currently 7:15 p.m. and yeah, we're having a great trip. It's been beautiful, and yeah, I'm about to hit the bank here, so I better turn this thing off. Well, I am here at the end of the second day, and I'm sitting on a bluff up above the Killick River, and the clouds have moved in for the first time this trip. And it's creating a little bit different, but the wind's also blowing a little bit, which is a mixed bag because it also is knocking down the mosquitoes. The mosquitoes are pretty horrendous right now, but the wind helps a bit. But they're all over my feet, they're right this, they're just kind of all over. They're definitely to the point of being a little irritating. That's one of the drawbacks of mid-July in the Brooks Range. I've mostly just been walking and enjoying the landscape. which is really one of the most important things about being out here. And when the light comes, the camera comes out. When the light goes down, then I just sit back and enjoy. So, yeah, end of day 2. I'm off to bed here shortly. Well, it is almost at the end of, well, not at the end, but at the end of our traveling on day 3. We are down into the Killick, almost to April Creek, and it is starting to rain a little bit. The river has been fast and shallow, which means a lot of scraping along the bottom with our boats. And it's been gray and drizzly kind of during the day, and so I haven't taken too many photos. Not a particularly photogenic day, but it's been a fun day on the river for the most part. I could have done without some of the scuffling along through the shallows of the boats, but other than that, it's been pretty pleasant. Some fun rapids, and looking forward to getting to camp. Oh, it is the beginning of day 4, I guess, and it's another kind of overcast day. I am here at the confluence of April Creek and the Killick River. It is a lovely spot. I wish we had a little bit more light, but yeah, so start of the next day, we're going to paddle down towards Easter Creek today, and today will probably be our last day of paddling before we begin the trek over to Agiak Lake. That'll be another 4 days or so of walking. A quite heavy rainstorm just moved through. We were paddling along and rain just came pouring down for about, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes. We were in the boat, so it was no big deal, but there's something about post-storm light that's really hard to capture with a camera, but is quite lovely in person. And I don't even know if this comes out, but these mountains there right now, that green just seems like it's glowing. It's like it was fresh washed, and but especially with a little point and shoot like I'm taking this video with, it's really hard to capture. I've buried my big camera deep, safe, and dry in my backpack, so I don't really have access to it right now, but there's just something about that light. Maybe one day I'll learn how to grab it with a camera. Well, we have just deflated the boats and pulled out of the Killick River, and it's been a rainy day on and off. So behind me there, the rain squall just went through, kind of nasty. But yep, there's the river. That's the last we will see of it. And yeah, so a little sad to deflate the boats because now we got to carry our own packs. Well, we're at our last camp, not last camp, we're at our camp for tonight, and we are here. This is Sulak Lake here behind me. We're pretty close to the to Easter Creek, and tomorrow we will head up this direction, up Easter Creek, to a place called Sulak Creek, where we'll cut off to the towards the east and head over towards Agiak Lake. It has just been kind of on and off rain all day long, which makes it a bit on the difficult side to photograph. It's been a bit of a light show. There's been periodic rainbows and God beams and things like that coming down, But I've been on the river most of the day, so I haven't really gotten the camera out too much. A few shots with the point and shoot, but the big camera's mostly stayed safe and dry in the big bag. But that's the day. Well, starting out on the 5th day in Gates of the Arctic National Park, and still here at Sulak Lake. Behind me there is Sulak Lake. So that's where we stand right now. Today we're going to hike up several miles up the Easter Creek to Sulak Creek. Alright, well, I am beginning our first real full day of walking. We started quite late, and now we are off up Easter Creek, and I'm being surrounded by mosquitoes, but I hadn't been until now because there was a nice wind blowing. But yep, that's Easter Creek below me. That next valley up there is Sulak Creek, and that's where we're headed. And we'll be in that valley for quite a while. It's a long valley. And yeah, now we're looking for a place to cross the river. We've got to get down and across that. There's a place right here, so we may try to cross right down there. Alright, it is the beginning of, what are we on? The 5th day? 6th day? Can't remember. It's the 18th of July. And yeah, I'm standing here at the mouth of Sulak Creek. Right there is Sulak Creek, joining Easter Creek. And I will be heading up that creek today. We're going to hike fairly, I don't know how many miles we'll pound out today, but a number. We've got quite a ways to go before we hit our final destination. And so that's the plan. It rained almost all night, lots of weather coming down, but we woke up to sunshine this morning. It's actually pretty hot and calm, and yeah, it should be a beautiful day. Looking forward to getting out there and seeing what we find. Well, I am taking a break on my way up the Sulak Valley. It has been a pretty tussocky walk. I'll try to get some video at some point of walking through tussocks. It's challenging, to say the least. This field coming up is long. It's probably at least a mile. I suspect we're going to aim down again towards the creek. And it's probably a mile away, maybe a little more. And that field looks like it is mostly tussocks, which is not going to be particularly fun. Well, we're coming towards the end of the day, probably within a couple of miles of wherever we'll camp. And we just came across this below me here, which is off ice or overflow ice. And basically it's caused in the wintertime by water seeping up from a river and freezing on top and layer upon layer upon layer until it can get quite deep. Clearly it must get really deep here because it's July 18th and there is still 3 or 4 feet of ice in some places. So pretty neat, and also made for a nice easy quarter mile of walking on the ice, so I wish we could get a few more miles of that. It's a buggy and calm but beautiful evening. You can see behind me there the these are just gloriously lit up right now. It is 20 after 11 p.m. And just a beautiful, beautiful evening. I can do without the hundreds of mosquitoes that are swarming about my head right now. So I just stopped here to take a little break and wait for Al, who was back behind me taking a couple of GPS points. And as I was standing here, something caught the corner of my eye, and right over against this ridge line, this little bluff, was the most immaculately white wolf, just 30 yards away, trotting along right there. So came up over here and stopped and lifted his head up, sniffed me. Must have stood there for 3 or 4 minutes as I, took some distant photos with the wrong lens that I don't have the right stuff for. And then he trotted off up the hill. Probably my best ever wolf sighting, and pretty cool to be out here alone and have that happen. So yeah, that's pretty awesome. Great start to the day. Turning into a pretty good wildlife day here in the Sulak Valley. I just watched a caribou come down that hillside behind me down there and down into the creek. And right now I am watching I doubt you will be able to see these very well, but there is a cow moose with a calf. Yeah, you can just kind of barely see it there, walking down the creek, right through the middle of the creek. Considering the landscape is largely covered up with clouds, it is nice to be having a little bit of wildlife today for sure. Well, I've stopped here for a little break, and I thought I would show you what a awesome trailside treat looks like. So, what we have here is pilot bread, about 100 calories per cracker. They taste like cardboard alone. Peanut butter. I have to use these little single serving thingies. And yep, perfect size. About, 150 calories in that size thing. And honey. I generally prefer jam, but honey is a little better for the weight, and you need less of it to go further. Messy, tasty, and calorie rich. I always like these kind of points because it gives you a perspective on how far I've come. Way down there is where we started. Well, not even where we can't even see where we started walking, but that's where we were day before yesterday morning, way down at the far end of the valley. And now I'm up here, just a couple miles, 3 miles or so from the very top of the valley. The creek has turned into just a fairly small little stream, and the gravel bars are huge. They're just gigantic gravel bars here, which makes the walking pretty interesting. It actually makes it pretty easy in general. But yeah, so that's where I am right now, off by myself for a few hours. We had two juvenile, like 3 or 4 year old grizzlies come within a few hundred yards of camp last night. That was fun to watch, although with teenage bears, they're always the ones that are a little more curious than you want them to be. Although these guys minded their manners and kept their distance, and they were gone this morning. So always fun to see a little more pretty good wildlife day yesterday, and it's always fun to add some bears to the list. Well, I'm here just probably inches below the actual summit of Sulak Pass, and behind me there is one of the Headwater Lake, and it is much, much bigger and more beautiful than I thought it was going to be from looking at the map. So that's kind of a pleasant surprise. Really wish we had some better light for photography. Some of the mountains here have beautiful big glacial cirques. There's one hiding right up there. There's a glacial cirque, and I would really have liked to have been able to get in there and get some photos, but so it goes. And yeah, so this is the Sulak Pass. Well, I'm off by myself here for a little while today, and I've been walking along this ridge below, or above one of the creeks that we're following down, and I came across this tributary, which from the map didn't look too big of a gully. It ended up being a couple of 100 feet climb and descent. And I came to the top of that right over where you see those big, red, very steep, rocky portion, and but with great good fortune, just a few feet down from me were these perfect caribou trails going right down to the creek. It was like it had been made for me. So some of the fun little things you discover when you're going cross country through the Brooks Range. Well, we just got a bit of nice photographic light. Some rain has been moving through, and apparently a patch of sun opened up, although I'm not seeing it from here. It's just created this beautiful rainbow. And the hills are lit up in just a great amount of just a patchy sunlight and darkness and great contrast and color. So nice to have a little bit of photographic light. It's been so gray today. I'm here at the end of the second to last day, basically. Tomorrow will essentially be our last day, since we'll probably get picked up pretty early the following day. And it was a rainy one today. Ended up walking most of the day in rain. But we covered 8 miles as the crow flies, and 10 or 11 or so as the hiker walks. And yeah, well, the evening has finally stopped raining, and actually it's gotten pretty lovely. There's some fog hanging low over the mountains, and there's quite a bit of blue that's starting to appear. There's a little bit of color starting to come into the sky. So I'm out taking a few photos, and we'll see what I get. I'm too tired to wander too far though, so hopefully I can find the compositions I need here close to camp. Well, I am here at the start of our final day of travel and woke up this morning to the first major amount of blue sky we'd seen in several days. Gave us a chance to get everything spread out, dry the tents, dry our clothes, dry the rain gear from yesterday. But now, of course, the clouds have decided to move back in. But it doesn't look like there's too much rain in them, at least I hope not. But we are camped in a lovely, big, beautiful valley where 3 tributaries come together, creating a big, wide, open area. Surrounded by tall mountains, and we're camped along Agiakiak Creek, and we will be hiking up that creek for a mile or so, then crossing over a short pass and dropping into Amichurak Lake. It's about 6 miles as the crow flies, so I suspect we'll be walking for 7 or 8 or so. Well, I am here at the top of the final pass of the trek. I'm about 2 miles from Amaloyak or Amichurak Lake. It's spelled Amaloyak, it's pronounced Amichurak Lake. And that'll be where we end the trip. So it's a little sad actually, sitting up here, but it's a beautiful day. There is mostly clouds, but there's some patches of sun coming through. There's a nice breeze blowing, keeping the bugs down, and it's quite lovely to sit here on the tundra with my back against my pack and listen to the wind. Well, that's it. I have arrived at the final camp here on Amichurak Lake, and it is a beautiful spot. Quite lovely with mountains and big lake. It's a couple of miles long, and it's pretty spectacular. Yep, it's great to be here. At the same time, it's always a little sad when you get to one of these end of this. At the beginning, 10 days sounds like a long time. It sounds like you're going to be out there forever, and you're going to have all the time to do everything you want. And it turns out the 10 days is never long enough. But it was great while it lasted. Tomorrow morning, with assuming good weather, a float plane will arrive here on the lake, pick us up, and hurtle us back towards civilization.